never seen a fall from a fireman's carry. Never in my life. Oh, gosh. Here we go.
It is mayhem in St. Louis. We saw a kick from Danis. Chimaev wasn't going to have it as he kicked him back. And just like that, about 150 people on the RAF stage. I saw Danis kick Chimaev, and then Chimaev kicked him back.
Danis started it.
Dear, referee calls it a fall. All right, yeah, I guess he kicked him. I guess.
Hey guys, welcome back to Duality 7X. I'm your host Shiraz. Today is a very special day. Today is President Trump's birthday. And on this day, we have UFC Freedom 250 White House. The White House card, guys, it's going to be absolutely insane. UFC Freedom 250. You know, I would have never imagined in a million years that a UFC or any kind of mixed martial arts, or shall I say any combat sports related event would happen on the UFC White House lawn. This is a first. It's going to be absolutely crazy, guys, and it's all happening today. It's all happening today, and tomorrow's video most likely will be talking about some of those highlights. We've got some of the ones that I'm really looking forward to watching. You know, Sean O'Malley. We're looking forward to Alex Pereira, of course, the main event. He's going to be taking on Cyril Gane. The last time Cyril Gane fought was when he fought Tom Aspinall, and the whole double eye poke kind of incident. And that led to a whole series of events and storylines. And you guys are probably well aware. If you've been paying attention to this channel, you know what I'm talking about. And then, of course, Josh Hockett versus Derek Lewis. I mean, Josh Hockett is walking content. What I mean by that is everywhere he goes, he's got something new to say, something very either shocking, disturbing, something that's definitely going to rattle social media headlines. And he knows it. And he's been kind of poking at like guys like Ilia Topuria. He's been poking at, you know, Shama himself, Al Potan, Alex Pereira. He's been basically letting loose on anyone and everybody that comes his way, essentially telling them how he really feels about them. So that's interesting. That's a whole different kind of drama altogether. And of course, Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje. This is a very, very important fight. As you know, Justin Gaethje became the interim champion when he beat Paddy Pimblett. And now he gets this opportunity to fight Ilia Topuria. And then you've got Arman Tsarukyan, who's been kind of waiting in the wings for an opportunity, potentially against the winner out of this fight. And he's really hoping it's going to be Ilia Topuria. In fact, Arman Tsarukyan, he might be in a little bit of trouble for this, but he actually went as far as to bet $1 million on Justin Gaethje winning this fight. And that might actually go against some of the betting rules as an active UFC fighter. So I mean, that's something that the organization is investigating, looking into. It is what it is. But I mean, so there's a lot that's happening there. And then last night you had Eddie Hall taking on Tommy Fury. Wow. You know, so I have to be honest, I didn't get a chance to actually watch the fight. I kind of missed it because of the World Cup. And that's another thing I'll talk about in just a second here. But I did catch the highlights, and you know, there were parts where Eddie Hall almost looked like he was an AI figure. It was absolutely crazy, guys. He looked super big compared to Tommy Fury, but Fury ended up winning the fight by unanimous decision, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. Now, I want to talk about real American freestyle wrestling. I want to talk about RAF last night because, you know, I just talked about Arman Tsarukyan earlier. Arman Tsarukyan went toe-to-toe against Tony Ferguson, former UFC champion and legend. And Ferguson, man, he also had his first boxing fight, which he won recently. And yeah, he stepped into I guess RAF to take on undefeated Arman Sarukian. Arman ended up winning. And then the main event that everybody was talking about was the bad boy himself, Khamzat Chimaev, against another bad boy, Dillon Danis. Now, if you guys watched it, you would have known that Khamzat Chimaev actually beat Dillon Danis in less than a minute. But that's not what people are actually talking about today. What everybody is talking about is this massive, massive brawl that ensued immediately right after. In fact, there was a lot of mayhem, chaos, confusion, all happening all at once. Because when you actually put one of the most intense competitors in combat sports, across from perhaps maybe one of the biggest provocateurs in the game, I'm talking about Dillon Danis. I mean, was there ever even a real match here? I mean, there's no guarantees when you get two wild cards squaring off against one another in what's supposed to be a non-combatant, like it's supposed to be pure wrestling, guys. There's no punches, kicks, none of that. All right. And you even heard Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle was doing commentary, and he was like, "Yeah, this is not a good look for wrestling. Not a good look for RAF." Anyways, Chimaev, he stepped onto the mat at RAF 10, and he did exactly what most people expected him to do. He overwhelmed Dillon Danis almost immediately. Actually, he secured some very dominant positions. There was a lot of kind of like just kind of feeling each other out, kind of a sense as to just understanding where the opponent was in respect to their periphery and their distance. And then it was just, Khamzat just kind of started to take over, doing what Khamzat normally does, which is overwhelm people. And Dillon Danis, I mean, immediately was pinned to the mat. Khamzat was able to secure very dominant kind of a position. He got a technical, he picked up a technical fall, right? And I think it was about 44 seconds into the match, right? So, I mean, from a competitive standpoint, I mean, it wasn't even close. But within moments of that match ending, everything just changed. I mean, according to reports, Danis continued holding on to a submission after the match was already over. So Khamzat was clearly kind of frustrated. He didn't appreciate it. And then he tried to kick Dillon Danis, not hard, but just try to kick him to break free of that. And suddenly both teams are storming the mat. Punches were flying. Security rushed in. I mean, lots of people, there was like dozens of people apparently that jumped into the chaos. Some people got injured. I mean, and just like that, the actual match became secondary to the aftermath. And the thing that kind of stuck out to me was that Dillon Danis lost the match. That's a fact. Because then you had the commentary after, you had the announcer come in, and she said that Khamzat Chimaev was the victor in this match. So because he did have that technical fall, he had that pin. Now, if you follow Dillon Danis throughout his career, then you'll know it's not about winning, it's not about losing. It's he kind of looks at everything like as a whole, right? The entire game. I mean, he really strives for attention, right? I mean, and he likes to be the center of attention at all times. And that's where the situation becomes absolutely crazy, because almost nobody expected Danis to go out there and out wrestle Khamzat Chimaev, even including myself. I'm like, okay, these guys look very cordial with one another in the weigh-ins. They're shaking hands, you're touching each other's biceps. They're like, giving each other thumbs up. And even before these guys actually started to wrestle, there was a little quick like handshake and stuff like that. They're like acknowledging and showing mutual respect to one another, which is what you want to see, especially in a pure wrestling kind of a setting. But knowing Dillon Danis, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. How is he gonna out wrestle Khamzat Chimaev? Something's not right here. And Khamzat Chimaev, he's not like he he doesn't waste time. Okay, like you show him respect, he'll show you respect. But the minute you do something to piss him off, he's gonna start knocking you out. He's gonna start throwing punches, right? He has a very low patient tolerance, or he's a very low patient tolerance kind of guy, right? So now, uh, I mean, I really didn't think this was gonna go that far. I mean, I was surprised that both of these guys agreed to do this. I mean, I know that Khamzat Chimaev is actually very serious about building a wrestling career. He wants to compete in the Olympics one day. That's his dream. But I mean, he doesn't have a lot of patience himself. And then when you throw in Dillon Danis of all people into it, I mean, guys, that's going to create a very, very weird kind of moment. Okay. Anyways, now whether it's intentional, unintentional, I mean, that's the whole debate right now. That's what people are trying to talk about and figure out on social media. But I mean, there was chaos. It was pure chaos. They shared a kick, they shared the brawl, they shared the moment. And that content is spreading like wildfire. And look, Khamzat Chimaev he put himself in a very unusual kind of situation, right? I mean, look, for many, many years, he's been viewed as perhaps one of the most terrifying athletes in MMA. Okay. And a guy who's essentially run through opponents. He breaks people mentally before the fight even starts. And recently he's been dealing with something a lot different. Okay. And just pressure. The pressure to stay on top, the pressure to stay relevant, or not even relevant, sorry, he's relevant, but the pressure to be consistent. People want to see you in a particular way all the time. A lot of people are copying that blueprint of being kind of like, there's a lot of guys in MMA, even in boxing, who can break you down mentally. I mean, Jake Paul's taken a lot of that. He does that to a lot of his opponents. There's a lot of UFC fighters that do that as well too. But with Khamzat, something has changed in his game. And even Armand recently alluded to it. Look, after his loss against Sean Strickland, I'm not going to say it was a blowout. It was pretty close, but Khamzat showed a lot of, like, he showed that he was purely, like, he is mortal. Okay, we all know that, but he showed that there was a little bit of, I'm not going to call it weakness. The word's not coming to me right now, but there's a lot of vulnerability there. People started to see Khamzat's vulnerability, and they started to see that he can be exposed, he can get cut, he can bleed like everybody else. And Sean Strickland was able to expose that. But at the same time, Armand also alluded to the fact that Khamzat had to drop almost 47 pounds. He had to cut that much weight just to get in shape for this fight, or just to be able to make weight for this fight. That you cut that much weight, you're not going to be healthy, you're not going to look good, you're going to feel tired, you're going to be sluggish, you're going to be lethargic, you're going to be half yourself. And so for Khamzat to be able to put on a very, very close fight, that tells you a lot about his ferocity and his ability in the octagon. But he did it to himself. Sorry. I mean, you drop that much weight and in such little time, it's going to go against you. And that's what happened. All right. But since then, a lot of people have been talking about Khamzat's camp. Maybe he needs to make some administration changes within his team, because something has changed. All right. And there's been a massive shift, whether you like it, not, whether you don't, whether you agree, whether you disagree. I mean, you could be the toughest fighter in the world, right? And not losing, not losing for like the longest period of time. And people will be like, yes, this guy's going to be on top. You can't be on top forever. Okay. You can't be on top forever. And ever since he's lost his belt now people are starting to ask a lot of questions, right? And now the appearance is starting to get a little bit fuzzy, right? And now the frustrations are starting to become a little bit more visible to the naked eye. People are starting to see things that they didn't see before. and that reaction in itself matters because I mean he got angry. He Khamzat did lose his composure. He could have just like, look, he could have signaled to the referee, hey, this guy's holding on to me. He's not letting go. Referee would have gladly intervened. Look, and when the chaos erupted, did you see the official picking up Khamzat and literally walking him away while he's holding him like a child? And Khamzat, thankfully, did not react because he could have probably pummeled that official to the ground. But he just kind of, that's the kind of respect he had for the officials, which we're super thankful for that nobody else got hurt. But I mean, like maybe he shouldn't have kicked him. I don't know. Maybe he fell into Dillon Danis's trap or his bait, and that's what Dillon Danis does. Look, Khamzat is the mentalist. He's the guy that's able to break people down mentally even before the fight starts. But to me, it seems like Dillon got under his skin. And it seems like Sean Strickland also got in his head as well, too. And it seems like there's a trend here now. Like Khamzat is, he's reacting. He's taking the bait when he should be just kind of maintaining composure and just kind of scaling back a little bit and try to read the room a little bit better and go back to his old self. He shouldn't have taken the bait. Anyways, guys, as an elite competitor, I get, he could be frustrated, he could be irritated, especially with Dillon Danis's reputation. I mean, I'm surprised that these guys were so cordial, up until their match. But I'm surprised Dillon Danis didn't try to just jump him in the way in or try to hit him when, blindside him or do something really stupid. He didn't, but again, the whole melee that happened right after the technical fall, that tells you in itself that it was just all of it was there. It was just drumming up, and it was going to come out eventually. So I don't think Dillon liked the fact that he got pinned so quickly, and I think he realized he was going to get overwhelmed in this, and maybe he just resorted to what Dillon Danis does best, is just piss people off and get under their skin, because he is a good fighter. He is, but unfortunately, a lot of his fighting gets marred because of the crazy antics that this guy pulls each and every single time. So, look, this wasn't an exhibition fight, guys. This is the real deal. This is like wrestling, guys, and there was a lot of tension that's been building up. It's been building up for many, many weeks. But when you go into these kind of events, and Khamzat should have known going into this kind of event, especially against a guy that he's going to be taking on or competing against, he should have understood that there's going to be a lot of mental games at play, and he should try to remain composed because, I mean, people are going to want to see him again, but it's not the kind of look that RAF wants. They don't want fighting. They want actual pure wrestling. If you want to fight, then you need to fight in the octagon. All right. So anyways, we're not talking about promotional theater here. I mean, it's great for the ratings, I'm sure. I'm sure Eric Bischoff loves it, and some of the other guys, but some of the stakeholders with invested interest, of course, because these are the kind of views and kind of attention that's going to draw people in. But you don't want it to happen continuously like this, because then people might start to lose interest in RAF, right? And that's not the look that they want. So I don't know what exactly Chimaev was trying to accomplish. Whether Dillon got into his head or not is another question. I think Dillon did get into his head, and Khamzat, being Khamzat, just reacted the way he knows how to react. When you talk about risk versus reward, perspective, there wasn't much upside to it. But I mean, look, if Khamzat continues to show struggles, when he's the headliner, people are going to start to doubt in his ability to become a headliner, and that's not going to be a good look for Khamzat down the road, right? So, anyways, guys, I just want to talk something else here about the bigger picture that's happening in combat sports. I mean, one thing that I think we can all agree on is that we've seen reportedly over the past few years is that there is definitely this line between competition and entertainment and that line is starting to get thinner, thinner, thinner to the point where it's not even existent anymore. And I always, if you guys hear me in my videos, I always talk about the lanes, right? There used to be a lane at one time where there was just, you know, like mixed martial arts folks, and then there was one lane for boxers, one lane for professional wrestlers like WWE, TNA, you know, AEW, etc. And then there was another lane for just like other like influencers, like guys who kind of like who are influencers on social media influencers, but also like to kind of do crossover fights. But that lane was really, really small. That was like a one-way lane. Some of these other lanes that I was talking about, they're like highways. But all of a sudden now we have one lane, and all of these different genre of athletes and influencers, they're all traveling down the same lane. And it's starting to become very controversial, very deadly, to the point where some people have got hurt. I mean, you see Jake Paul. Like Jake Paul, this wasn't his first rodeo. He's fought a lot before fighting Anthony Joshua, but back in December, he got his jaw broken in 2 places, right? Some people said that he actually fought a legit top ranking elite boxer, and that's what's going to happen. And so, I mean, things like that unfortunately do happen, but that's also part of the reason why entertainment continue, like these events continue to get bigger. Look at Aiden Ross, brand risk. I mean, this guy is just flying. I mean, when you throw in names like Ray J, and then you got, you know, like other, like, you know, people want to see their favorite influencers, unfortunately, not just talk, but they want to see them fight, right? You got Misfits Boxing, you know, I mean, Eddie Hall versus Tommy Fury. I mean, that's crazy, guys, right? So what's next? Well, the promoters are loving it because the ratings continue to drive up this madness. And look, I'm going to be the first to admit that I like watching this kind of stuff myself. I'm actually quite happy in a sense that there's a lot more of it now, because I always wanted to, there was always these what if debates, what if scenarios. Back in the day, we always used to be like, what if this guy fought Mike Tyson, or what if this happened in the ring, or, well, now you're starting to see it a lot more. So anyways, guys, I know the fighters love it too, because the fighters love the Masari that comes along with it. Lots and lots of moolah to go around. At the end of the day, whether you love it, whether you hate it, I mean, these kind of incidents that happen, especially like what we saw last night at RAF, they continue to drive up the madness. They continue to generate a lot of attention at a level that, you know, a lot of other, I guess, a lot of other things can't even compete with, right? I mean, a clean 44-second technical fall isn't making headlines, but the melee that ensued right after that, that is what everybody's talking about. The big brawl, because now people are like, now we want to see Dillon Danis fight Khamzat Chimaev in a real fight. So were you not interested in the wrestling match of it? So is that what it comes down to, is now you guys want to actually just see these guys fight? So should RAF like abandon their whole freestyle wrestling event and just focus on becoming like another, you know, mixed martial arts kind of promotion? I don't know, guys. I mean, look, this is the problem, right? I mean, at some point, the spectacle in itself becomes a very dangerous balancing act, right? And when you have a lot of these big time promoters encouraging this and promoting it, it's only going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger, right? And so anyways, guys, yes, most fans today on social media are talking about the brawl more than they're talking about the technical fall that Khamzat scored within record time of 44 seconds. Nobody cares about that. People just want to see the drama. And so anyways, maybe not ideal for the fighters themselves, and are trying to build momentum, especially after like a championship. But anyways, guys, it is what it is, man. That attention will only continue to put Khamzat in the headlines. And yeah, he got the win, but he also got pulled in the type of chaos that benefits Danis more than it benefits him, because that's not the, I don't think that's the kind of path that Khamzat Chimaev wants to go down, is being kind of like the guy who's very unpredictable and will snap in seconds. And you know, that's Danis's game. That's Danis's game. For Chimaev, he needs to focus on his elite wrestling, his elite fighting, and just kind of focus on that. Anyways, guys, no social media war here, guys. There's no extended feud. going back and forth so far from what I'm seeing. All I know is that the story is continuing to gain a lot of traction. And look, I mean, if you want to focus on high level competition, then focus on the high level competition, because there was a lot of other great wrestling events that happened that night at RAF. But I mean, including the Khamzat Chimaev one, it's just, unfortunately, it's sad that it had to get marred in the way that it did, at the end. But I mean, look, Khamzat Chimaev beat Dillon Danis in under a minute. That's the official result. Danis continues to stay relevant, and Chimaev got the win. Whether he stays relevant or not will remain to be seen. Anyways, guys, I want to hear your thoughts and comments. I think I went a little bit over. And look, guys, the World Cup is happening. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you guys watching the World Cup? I'm watching the World Cup. I love it. It's great, to see the games between Canada, Mexico, and the United States. Lots of exciting teams and lots of drama, of course, already. But I want to hear it in the comments, guys. Who are you guys supporting? Are you guys actually going to visit any of the games? Anyways, I have a feeling people are going to be split right down the middle. Not only on the story, but on the World Cup as well, too. Anyways, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. The pleasure was all mine. Enjoy the rest of your day.